So what's going on, everybody? This is Jack from Legion of Nerds, and I'm here after a crazy season, the Dolphins franchise. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I fell in love with this team over the course of this year. All these moves, I felt like fucking Bill Belichick out there making these deals, all of this stuff, and it really paid off. The draft was huge, going after Tom Savage, the Super Bowl hero. All these individuals that got a chance to, make a name for themselves. Derrick Henry came from Tennessee. He was third on the depth chart. I traded for him like a 7th round pick. I got him, and he ended up being probably the best power back I've ever had. Another example of that would be Oscar Roosevelt, third on the Cowboys depth chart, a rookie, and he had some stuff going against him, He had Terrence Williams and Des Bryant higher than him on the depth chart for some weird reason, even though he's 6'5" with 92 speed. Yeah, right, he ended up being probably more productive than Devontae Parker was in his second season with us, and of course Devontae Parker ended up being a complete stud. And Eric Redmond, 4th round. This guy is 4th round material. We got him, and he ended up being fantastic for us during the course of the end of the season. Of course, you guys saw that huge catch in the AFC Championship game where he went right over that defensive back and he got up there and snagged the ball with his 95 jump, which I didn't even remember. So that was fantastic. And overall, this team, I really, really love it. And this is probably my favorite defense that I've ever constructed, especially with some more points going into these guys. And Shaq Thompson coming back as our third down linebacker. And Jelani Jenkins being a pretty good fill-the-gap type of guy, with Rashad Jones included in that, with this absolutely beastly, unfair defensive line that this defense just gives offenses nightmares. I'm sure of it. But anyways, stats. If you like numbers, you're like me, this is going to be very interesting to you. Ryan Tannehill, over 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 63% completion on the year, with Tom Savage with a huge 403-yard game, of course, in that Week 17 game against the New York Jets. David Johnson finished with over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, however, 7 touchdowns on just 78 attempts, and most of those coming with Tennessee because they use auto subs a lot better than we do. Receiving, Devontae Parker, 53 receptions, 1,071 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Sheldon Young also with 53 receptions. What a year for Sheldon Young this year. I'm so excited to get him involved in the offense in the future, and really this big four in the receiving game. The receiving game, in my opinion, was one of the weakest units of the offense going into the season, or of the team in that matter going into the season, and we fixed that so well. Oscar Roosevelt came in. He ended up being great, obviously. 46 receptions and 868 yards, being, in my mind, equally as productive as Devontae Parker, and even having a higher ceiling. So you never know. Devontae Parker, you don't know what's going to happen to him. I think he's a great, well-polished receiver, but Oscar Roosevelt also up there after one season, and no development points have gone into anyone at this point. Just keep that in mind. Eric Redmond, 80 overall, 94 speed. He's going to be the slot receiver of the future for this team. I can guarantee that. He's not going anywhere. Jelani Jenkins, nearly 100 tackles. I pretty much already showed you all the stats in that apology video for getting all that footage wiped out, but almost 100 tackles. Sanchez Beckett with a very, very nice rookie year. I believe he was second on, or tied for first for the team with tackles for a loss with 17, with Philip Wisniewski, and then Luke Patterson coming in at 16, Shaq Thompson at 14, Jenkins 13, Leonard Floyd with 12, and then in sacks, Leonard Floyd led the team, 16.5 sacks. That's crazy. And then Luke Patterson playing against left tackles, 14.5. So I think in terms of ceiling with these guys, I would like to say that Luke Patterson has the higher ceiling of the two, just because he weighs more and he's still got solid speed, and I think Leonard Floyd's the better pass rusher, while Luke Patterson is by far the better run defender just because of that weight. Ndamukong Suh, productive as always. Great season for him for a defensive tackle. In fact, one of the best ever, especially with the competition of Philip Wisniewski, who is absolutely phenomenal this season as well. I believe 5 interceptions, yep, on the season for Leo Sanders, our rookie corner. Couldn't have asked for that much more. He was phenomenal this season. Also led the team with 9 deflections. Rashad Jones with 3, Buchanan with 3. Jones also had one in the playoffs, and then so did someone not on this list, Demarius Randall. Okay, so I can't resign players yet. I'm sorry, that has to wait for the offseason, but we are going to go ahead and spend our team XP, which is obviously the most fun part of the offseason, seeing how our players grew. And Philip K, 60,000 XP just for making the Pro Bowl on that stacked O-line. So we're going to give him, never spend it on awareness. I learned that the hard way. I'm going to put like 5 points in the run block, and then I think I want him to be a really balanced player, so let's go here. Impact block doesn't really matter for a center, I don't think. And then this guy's insane. He's going to be a fucking monster. Or he is a fucking monster, should I say. And then rest into awareness. And he's an 88 overall. Okay. This line was crazy last year, but I think it's only going to get better. Lenny Foot, we barely run the ball to the left side, I think. So kind of like an all-purpose pass blocker, I think. But I think he should be able to block for, you know, David Johnson. So 97 pass block. That's exactly what I'm looking for. He bumps to an 88 overall as well. Joe Thuney, you know, whatever. He's a guard, so mostly into that run block department, and then some into impact block, some into pass block as well. Impact block, if you're confused by that, it's like how long you can hold a block for, which is pretty important, but I don't think it's the #1 priority for a lot of these guys. It's really just like, this has to do with your footwork and being better at protecting the quarterback in the pocket, while impact block is how you lock down the defender. So like I said, stopping the defender from getting free, if that makes sense. So Le'Veon Tyler, a backup offensive lineman, made the Pro Bowl, which I don't know how the hell that happened. That's crazy. But he does need a lot of work in pretty much everything, but he does jump to an 88 overall. Are you kidding me? That's insane. That should not be happening. If you're gonna ask, I am using T-Dog's XP slider set. Very, very good set. Highly recommended for, I guess, decently realistic results. As you can see, I'm not really getting the most realistic stuff sometimes. Jack Conklin, 90 overall, so we have a 90 overall lineman. Oh, we're gonna get another one. Laramie Tunsil, Mr. Gas Mask. See, never, ever, ever smoke weed on a video, because that shit comes back to you. Laramie Tunsil's a prime example of that, and he ended up going to Miami at like 14th overall, and it cost him millions of dollars on his contract. So, don't do that shit, guys. Don't be stupid if you're a good athlete. Just don't smoke weed. It's very cool. 75 overall. That's pretty sustainable for a backup tackle in my mind. 99 kick accuracy. And the rest into awareness. He's 84 overall. That's fantastic. Matt Darr is going to be a monster. Oh, I should have gotten clutch. Dang it. Leo Sanders, let's look at some traits. He's already got pretty much everything. I do want a high motor, and then I want predictability. And I think that should be good for that. And then some press. Got toasted this season at times. Not like Shaggy and Scooby toasted, but like toasted. Like Dante Moncrief, that was bad. Play some safety. Got good tackle. Is there play rec on here at all? Yeah, there is. Cool. Only an 85 overall, but we spent the majority of those points into his traits. Same with Redmond, probably. Yes. Definitely want predictability. We want to be able to get him back when we need to. So that's pretty good. He always has his feet in bounds during a catch. He's probably the best at that on the team in my mind. In my mind, I don't think you can improve hands. I think you're just born with natural hands, but that's just me. So I think that route running is probably the thing that you can improve the most. And I guess spec catch if you really wanted to, but he's 5'10", so fuck that. I just think that spec catch is about timing and you know, those highlight reel grabs, but really, it's all depending on your hands. Your hands are your foundation. If you don't have good hands, it's not going to work out for you. Now, here's something I want to do. Wow. Beckett's really good. He's already got, like, all the traits. I'd like to get that package, and then I would like to just throw this pursuit through the window, because I think that if you can't chase the ball carrier down, you're not getting anywhere. Play rec. No. Fuck you. I hate spending points on awareness, but pursuit for Beckett was his #1 concern in my mind. When you watch him play, he doesn't take angles, and he's kind of invisible sometimes. Oh, yeah, no shit. Release is going to be huge. With all this XP from kick returning, I think we can start to develop Goodwin's other traits as a receiver. Alright guys, so this is the team post-development. We got everything sorted out here, and we have a lot of new players. So let's go ahead, without further ado, and look at the roster once more. Keep in mind, overall, it does determine some things, but it's not everything. It's all about traits and your interior skills, and a lot of this is determined on awareness, which really isn't the most important thing when you have other traits that matter for each position. So keep that in mind. That's my little lesson to all of you. And Sue's still our highest, 94 overall, so nothing too heavily stacked, but we have a lot of depth. And something that I'd like to point out in particular is especially how the offensive line has come together. Like, our backup is a 75 overall. That's insane. And then here we have to find out what to do here, because that's not gonna happen. And this is crazy. So we do have a lot of these guys going in free agency, but nobody is lower than an 86 overall, and that would be this man right here, Joe Thuney, being our lowest overall, which, I mean, overall, like I said, isn't everything, but it still plays a factor. Anyways, we do have very, very interesting news here at defensive end. Leonard Floyd next season is going to play at the right end position, which obviously flip it around, meaning that Luke Patterson's going to be playing at the left end position. And I think that these are better fits because, like I explained earlier, Luke Patterson has better block shedding and is a better run defender, and proved that last year. And Leonard Floyd is more of a speed rusher, and he can get around those left tackles that excel in pass block. And I think that this should create some kind of a balance, because we had it completely flipped last year, but it's not going to happen this year. It's all going to be good. All right, so Trey Flowers, I forgot I put him at defensive tackle. I think that's a better fit for him in this 4-3 scheme anyways. So I'm not actually sure about what I'm going to do here, because outside linebacker's kind of a mystery all the time, because Shaq Thompson's here. He's got great coverage, and then Barry Heiden's here. Honestly, I think the only thing I can think of right now is to put Jalen Smith at outside linebacker and let him play over there, but at the same time, I guess Sanchez Beckett does need a backup in a sense, so I think Travis Feeney's not going to be on the roster next year, I'm telling you that. So I think Jelani Jenkins plays here. 2 downs, Christian Jones comes in the 4-3 and 3rd downs, and then at the same time, Barry Heiden and Shaq Thompson do the same exact thing. Shaq Thompson plays, ooh, this can actually be pretty difficult. Yeah, Heiden's going to play for 2 downs, and then Shaq Thompson will come in, except Shaq's really good. Like, you can't deny that. He's fantastic. He's phenomenal. Barry, though, definitely coming along. That looks like a scary player all of a sudden, especially with that superstar development. I remember someone commented, oh, he's all about development, which is kind of true. Heiden's at the point to 75 zone coverage. That's ideal. Like, he can live with that. Beckett, on the other hand, he's got to improve a little bit. I think his pursuit's definitely way up. He's going to be a beast next year, but that coverage looking interesting. We also got Jalen Smith up to an 80 zone coverage, so I think that's going to be fantastic next year. This is a mess. We need to get that sorted out. But other than that, looking pretty good. The practice squad is empty, and we are ready to move on to re-signings next week. And guys, I will see you for all there. Jack from 16 Radio Network signing out.